Mets are back, baby. How about that, BT? 22 hits, 14 runs, trouncing the world champs. Here we come. Yes.
It's all it took, huh? It's all it took. Now, you told me yesterday you needed 4 and 2 to really dive back in. I was telling Sal, jump in. I mean, that was impressive last night. You know, Texas is an odd team this year for sure. You come out, everybody's rocking singles, everybody's having quality at bats, had a couple of bombs. And you just absolutely bludgeoned them here. So we said that at least 8 and 6. No, I'm sorry.
They were 6 and 2, right?
Yep,
And I wanted 4 and 2.
You had initially said 9 and 5 for the next
Right,
14 when we started to chronicle things here, like how can we get them? How can we take them seriously here, or when could we? And I even thought 8 and 6, given the state of the NL, was okay. They are now 7 and 2.
Right.
They are now 7 and 2.
Still got to finish this off here.
Understood. It's time to get a little excited here, buddy.
Well, look, if you watched them play, we watched the game last night. How could you not?
I hear you.
Now, I mean, long-term belief, maybe we save that for another day, but watching them last night, a machine, keep the line moving, base hit after base hit after base hit, Nimmo with the big blow, Lindor looking like, dare I say, an all-star.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this big picture stuff, right? Do we, and I don't know if it's all sports, but specifically baseball, do we need to change the way we view the sport because of the way it's evolved? Because I just don't understand it anymore. This team started 0-5 and looked awful. Mm-hmm. This team then, after responding, fell to 11 games under and looked as bad as you can possibly look for 2 months. Not 2 weeks, 2 months. I know we overreact. I know that we're irrational. That's what we do. But for 2 whole months, they looked bad. Then you watch last night, and you watch over the course of this winning streak, sure, whatever it is, 12 of 16, whatever it may be. But you watch them last night, they look like a completely different team.
Yep.
How is that even possible to now legitimately believe that, and I know the National League is bad and that the expanded postseason keeps things open, but look at the way they played last night and tell me who you think definitively is better than them in the National League, outside of the top teams with the ultra talent.
Yeah, we know who those teams are.
Are we changing here with the sport? Like your point, and a lot of people talk about, well, the Diamondbacks made the World Series with 84 wins.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that doesn't seem like it should be possible, but it is.
Yeah.
So then why can't we? So should we just say, hey, well, you know what? They're 11 under. So what? They'll pick it up in June. All it takes is 2 good weeks.
Well, the third wild card opens up pretty much every team, with the exception of 2 in the NL and several in the American League, of at least thinking they've got a shot. So to me, the way the Mets started and just how awful and disjointed they looked to start the season, they just merely had to find a way to get in position to get in position. Like, they weren't even in position.
Do you think they're a good team?
I don't think they're a good team.
Okay, me neither. But
I think they're an interesting team.
Yeah.
In 2024.
Well, that's my point. Like, we've watched baseball all our lives. And I think even, like, the Mets themselves know the team that they constructed. Now, they always said and felt that they would be better than what they were playing. Even, I did think they were better than the 11 games under, but they were what they were at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So even the most negative Met fans or people watching, okay, maybe they're not as bad as 11 under, but they're still not a good team. And yet here we are to where what we believe in watching baseball our whole life, don't believe this team to be good, but they've won 6 straight. They looked last night like they could beat anybody. They could get in the postseason, theoretically, and once you're in, anything could happen. So how is that we look at a team that nobody really thinks is that good, but still has all the possibilities there in front of them?
Well, first of all, we're not always right. I mean, we can think what we think, and we can say what we say, and I think most of us can kind of get a sense, all right, this team's got a chance, this team doesn't.
But what was their win expected? Like, I'm not just saying, when I say we, I don't mean you and I.
No, I know. I'm saying collectively we, as just observers, not just our show. No, I mean everybody in the city. Outside of the absolute Met haters, and then outside of the absolute, devout sycophants who think they're going to win the World Series every year, the answer with the other 80-ish, 90-ish%, that I think we're fairly rational and locked in enough to know that, while they're not a really good team, the circumstances are really good. And listen, the one thing that I told Sal yesterday, I said, lean into it. You weren't there. Your team comes in. You basically have 30 hits last night, whatever it was. So you lean in a little bit more understandably.
I mean, that was fun.
It
last
was
night.
fun. I was enjoying it because the manner in which they were grinding, their approach was very impressive. And what I'm starting to see now with the Mets is that they're not content with just being a little competitive. They're getting a little greedy now. They're starting to jump on teams. And for a while, it was just Martinez who was carrying the mail. And, now Lindor is starting to look like the guy that I thought came over from the Guardians.
I'm glad you brought him up because I want to make him
time.
Yeah, well, okay. So now even him, when we talk about the big picture, a team that could struggle for 2 months and all of a sudden get back into things. How about an individual player? You know this. I've been a believer in Francisco Lindor. I liked his last 2 seasons. At the end of the year, saying, I put up good numbers. Those are good years. All right, it wasn't consistent from start to finish, but still, those are good years. Waiting for him to finally do it from start to finish. I don't know what's so difficult about that. The best players in the sport do it. I mean, you have slumps along the way, but you don't go cold for 2 months and all of a sudden go on a heater the rest of the way. So what about Lindor? The way we evaluate players, to a point where almost everybody was saying he needed to go right-handed, he may be done, he'll never be the player he once was. Even the biggest believers in Lindor, like myself, got to a point where you're reaching June, and it's like, dude, get moving here. And now he's gotten going. And so do we just ignore the first 2 months?
No.
Well,
I haven't done that.
Judge is different because he's an all-world superstar player, but he struggled all of April. We're like, I don't know, he might not hit 260 this year. He's going to have the best year of his career potentially. What is going on with baseball where it's just not the same?
Well, but listen, it's not the same. I think, listen, here's what's confounding to me, because we get into Lindor a little bit here. I'm going to incorporate Pete as well. What confounds me about the Mets is that you look at some of the other really good teams, and now I know Acuna's hurt, but generally the combination of Acuna and Riley, or Olsen last year and Riley, or Olsen and Acuna, and Betts and Freeman, or Betts and Ohtani, or Soto and Judge. Most good teams, their 2 best players are always pretty good.
Right.
And here we are, last couple of years, dissecting and trying to decipher, like, who is Lindor and who is Pete. And that's why I've never been able to gain a lot of enthusiasm for this team in terms of traction, like believing that they could do something, because their 2 best players have intermittently been good.
Right.
And that is very problematic.
Is there anything that they can do that will make you change?
Well, that's why, again, it sounds like it's not a WWE match here, but that's why I issued a challenge yesterday to Pete.
I know.
But wake up.
Right.
Let's go. You want a contract. You want to be here for 6 or 7 years, which I don't think that, I'm just going to be very blunt. If I own the Mets, you wouldn't be here for 6 or 7 years.
But that's my point.
I know. But at least give them something to think about. Like right now, I can't prove this, but right now, Sal, I think that the Mets are predisposed to moving on from him. Whether it's a trade if they fall apart, whether it's a qualifying offer that he rejects, whatever, some machination. I don't think that they are really in on Pete being here for a long time, and I don't think that they should be. Prove us wrong. Don't hit 230. Hit 270.
But let's say Lindor, and we'll get to the calls here in a second, 888-808-1019. Let's say Lindor and Pete, the way they're playing right now, they pedal to the metal the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. Mets make the postseason. The numbers are there. Those guys do their job. Would you then believe in them as being the 2 key core pieces? With maybe addition, let's say Soto, whatever. But
they're tier 2.
Okay, me neither. So there's really, my decision is made. I'm sorry. My mind is made up on this group. And it's not because they were 11 games under this year. It's not because they were 0-5 to start the season. It's because this group choked when they had a chance to win a division against the Braves in 2022. This group then folded in the postseason against the Padres. So not only did you get swept in Atlanta to lose to the Braves, you folded against the Padres in a pathetic performance in the postseason. Then you had last year happen, and then the inconsistencies this year. So it's maddening. Even with the success, while it was extremely fun, I just don't believe in Lindor and Pete as being. Now, Lindor's not going anywhere. Nimmo's not going anywhere. There's just nothing you can do about it. I mean, unless somebody wants him, then I would consider moving him. But I don't believe in the core with Lindor, Nimmo, and Pete. It's too inconsistent. So even if they get going this year, still, what does that mean?
Well,
ultimately?
that it means, you and I disagree on this, but again, the optics of what might be appealing to Juan Soto, and not to mention other players around baseball. I just think it solidifies the culture that Mendoza is in the early stages of building. Listen, we'll get these calls, but I want to give you a golf analogy, only because we just finished up the U.S. Open, right? So There are, if you go through, just, Google, you'll look at all the U.S. Open, which is thought to be a very tough venue, high scores historically, right? Not everybody shoots a -17, like Tiger Woods would bust out once in a while, or a -12. Sometimes you win the U.S. Open, +1, even par, -1, -2. It's a slogfest. And I say that because you don't always have to look the part to win. And listen, I know the Mets are flawed. I know their pitching is, I don't fully believe at all in Pete and Lindor. But I do believe in the energy that they're showing right now. Just ride it.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, even for me, suspend your logical, practical thoughts and your true inner beliefs if you are a doubter in this core, and enjoy the ride, because last night was fun. The winning streak is fun. And the reality is the Mets season is back on. They now have a season. But that's just, for a while I was looking, oh my God, get us to the trade deadline.
I know.
They now have a season to where their games mean something. They're chipping away at that 500, trying to get there now, 3 games under. You got the Yankees coming up next week. The Mets season is officially back on.
I mean, Martinez, Lindor, Alonso, Grimace, Nimmo.
Oh, God. We'll get to him in a second. Do you realize after yesterday's little rant?
Yeah.
That I've been getting text and tweets nonstop. Like,
from
friends being like, oh, of course you'd hate Grimace. I'm like, it's stupid. And then Gelb's busting my balls about it. Like, that's what I want. Oh, Gelb's like, wait till they win tonight. I'm going to tweet this out. He tweets that they should have a statue of Grimace. Come on, dude. Yeah, the Mets should build a statue of Grimace. I understand that nobody really thinks Grimace is responsible for this. But what you don't understand, not you, BT, you don't understand is that everybody that references Grimace, it's making a mockery of the Mets. The Mets earn the credit here, not because of some goofball mascot Grimace.
Some purple
His
slob.
fat purple ass. I'm so sick and tired of Grimace.
Did he even throw a strike? Did he reach the plate?
I think actually it was a better first pitch than Baba Booey, for example.
Well, Baba Booey's
actually,
the worst.
it wasn't awful.
There's some bad ones.
But like the Grimace, man. Oh my God, it's nauseating. Yeah, I'm sure that's what Nimmo, Lindor, and Alonso want to hear. Guys who have been getting ripped left and right because they haven't done anything.
What would you do if everybody comes out tonight with purple hair?
Yeah, it's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. They're going to come back home when they return to Citi Field. People are going to be in their Grimace outfits and T-shirts and whatever it may be. Hey, come on now. I'm disgusted by it. Give the Mets some credit. Grimace. It's not about it makes them a mockery. Don't you get it?
Hey, you know
Even
what,
the Mets account is tweeting it out, the Grimace effect.
Well,
my God.
They lean to all that.
If the Mets don't start rolling out Grimace shakes at Citi Field, they're missing an opportunity.
They probably will. And again, to further your point, BT, who turned his mic on here? BT, it's Al on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. John is calling from Queens. John?
Hey, Sal. Hey, Brandon. How you doing?
Hey, John.
What's up, John?
I just got although I'm really proud of the Mets right now, I'm 52, so I've been through, hell and back with them. I still got my one eye open. I'm pessimistic about the team, but I'm really happy that they got this guy managing the team. I think he's really good for them. And for them to come back the way they have twice now in 1 year, I think that says something about the actual manager of the team. And then I have another quick point I'd like to make about the fact that we have so many teams now in Major League Baseball. Does it really pay to, have all these high payrolls?
I'm not sure what you mean, meaning that you could achieve success and still make the playoffs. Go ahead. Further your thought. I'm not sure what you mean.
Right. Well, the point is, you got so many teams now in Major League Baseball, right? So you think maybe the owners are saying, listen, we don't, like everybody says, we don't need 300. Maybe we only need 150 or 200 to get into the playoffs, and then maybe add an arm here and there, and then we're good to go.
Well, yeah, John. I think we've already seen a recalibration just based on some of the contracts. Like, Bellinger, if this was a couple of years ago, Bellinger, based on his year last year with the Cubbies, would have gotten, what do we think, now 5-6 years for $179 million? I mean, if not more. Chapman, who's good, not great, but he got a 2-year deal with the Giants, had to wait basically. Same with, Snell. I think the market's already changed. It's turned.
So teams are getting smarter, right, which makes sense. And also to the point I was making before, if the Diamondbacks could get to the World Series with 84 wins, and the Mets, who looked as bad as any team at points this year, and still even in the standings, are not very good, but are still in the thick of things, then why would you go nuts bringing in superstars left and right, and you don't have to. Teams have proven it over the years where you could do it. Look at the Rays, even look at Oakland at times where they've been competitive over the years.
The A's used to be so good at that. The one difference, though, Sal, I think it's a little different for us here because, certainly in L.A. and with the Yankees much more than the Mets, but the Mets to an extent, like when you're in a big city like this, and those ticket prices are pretty exorbitant, and you're banging people out $50 for parking. I think it's $40 in Queens. I know it's $50 in the Bronx. I might be off in Queens. Last year, I remember I paid $40. You've got to at least on some level be able to justify, hey, we're trotting out, a couple of A-listers here, and the incentive is to reach into your pocket to do that, kind of like the Knicks, kind of like the Rangers, So that's the one thing. So I don't think either New York team's payroll is going to really shrink to the point. But no, there's been a change in the sport, no question.
Will is calling from Staten Island. What's up, Will?
Will.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing today?
Good.
I just wanted to call in and say, Sal, I'm a little disappointed. Last week I was driving into work and you keep me going, and all you did was rant and rave about how horrible the Mets were and how bad they were. And I thought you were going to lose your voice. I thought BT was going to have to come from vacation and save you, but he didn't. And this morning, I don't hear that same passion about it. You said the Mets are back, but where's the passion? Where's the rest of it like you did last week about how bad they were doing? Can I get a little bit of that?
You're talking about in the positive way with them?
In a positive way with them, yeah.
Yeah, well, how about this, Will? Can they get to 500?
Of course, they will.
Okay, well, but they're not.
They will.
But they're not. Here's the problem, and thank you for the call, Will. Last week, the Yankees are rolling, crushing everybody. Now, obviously, things change. They change by the day, so let alone a full week here. Yeah. The Yankees are rolling, crushing everybody, and the Mets falling all over themselves as usual. Mm-hmm. Losing to the Marlins, I think it was that night that they lost to the Marlins. No, I'm sorry. They
won that. They lost the first one, then they won.
They barely beat the Marlins, and I just had enough of the frustration about how one team could be so good. Now, obviously, basically, since then, the Mets have not lost a game, and they're playing well, so we're giving them credit. But you want me to come on here and tell you that I believe that this team is legit? Like to compete in the postseason for real? I can't tell you that because I don't feel that. Mm-hmm. I don't make stuff up. Like, I'm telling you how I feel. And I still don't believe in this team. Now, last night was fun. It was great. I do think Met fans should enjoy the ride and suspend your actual belief in this team if you don't believe in them. And if you do, good for you. But I don't. I know that at some point the pitching's going to be exposed, whether it's the bullpen, whether it's the starters. I know that at some point Lindor, Pete, Nimmo, J.D. Martinez, they'll come back down to earth a little bit, and the Mets just don't have that depth there. I just don't believe in the team. I do believe in Mendy, and I do believe in the culture and in the direction of the team still with Stearns and Cohen. I don't believe this team is a very good baseball team.
I think if you get too into the weeds on what they can do, I think you become, I don't want to say depressed there, but a little reluctant to jump in, which I understand. This is a roster that's very flawed. It's pieced together for a reason because they didn't really believe in it enough to validate making some moves over the winter, which, by the way, I thought was the right move. It had to be a year of evaluation for Stearns and see what you got. A lot of guys, 1-year deals, 2-year deals. Okay. So that's the one aspect. The other aspect, and at least this gives you a temporary, if not more, respite from misery. Look at the teams that are above the Mets. There's a lot of them. Are you telling me that they're not better than most of those teams?
Right.
They're not better than the Giants?
Or at least as good.
Or can't be? They're not better than the Reds? Like, what teams are in front of them? 6 teams, 7 teams? Can you read them out real quick?
Yeah, well, that's why I think it's...
The Nationals are in front. They just swept them.
Right.
The Padres are in front. They just swept them.
Let's see.
5 or 6 teams in the wild
actually,
card.
they leapfrogged 2 last night.
Okay, there you go. So who's in front of them right now?
Pirates, Diamondbacks, Padres, Nationals, Giants.
I mean, think about the teams. 2 of the 5 teams you just mentioned, you're 6 out of 6 against in the last week. The Pirates, whatever. The Giants, whatever, and the Diamondbacks, whatever. I mean...
Right, so that's why, forget about what you really believe or whether we believe in the core or not. The reality is their season's back on. You should be excited about that.
Boom.
That's it. End of story.
And I think that you can be excited without getting bogged down by, they're not good enough to win the World Series. It's the middle of June. Just enjoy the ride.
Right.
It's 6 straight wins. You guys look good.
Yeah, well, what do you want from me? I mean, I came out on fire saying the Mets are back. I can't give you much more than that. They're still 3 games under 500.
I made a mistake. I'm going to have to take the L on this. I brought Grimace into... When I said that, it changed your entire mood.
You did set me off.
No, I didn't mean to, though.
I've been getting texts last night. I'm fighting with my friends like, what's the big deal? Lighten up. I don't want to lighten up. It's not about Grimace. Give the Mets some damn credit for once. Every time they do something good, it's somebody else. It's the rally pimp. It's Grimace. Those are the two biggest stars of the Mets. Forget Lindor or Nimmo or Alonso. It's the rally pimp and Grimace. Those are the only two guys that get credit for this 2024 season.
How long before Gary Cohen and the guys in the booth get a delivery from Uber Eats, McDonald's, and Grimace drops it off in the SNY booth?
Yeah, you know what's going to happen, especially when this way. Yeah, there's going to be all purple in the stands. I'll tell you this.
Little Purple Rain, Prince.
They sweep the Yankees.
Deep purple.
They sweep the Yankees. You might be hosting a show with Grimace.
You would come in dressed like him?
Maybe.